So today we are going to discuss about general reactions of amino acid metabolism. Protein molecules which consist of nitrogenous substances, and these protein molecules gets converted into amino acids. Okay, so how can it get converted? So it gets converted by the proteolysis process. Okay, proteolysis process. That means protein gets degraded and converting into amino acids. Okay, so this pathway, this process is called to be proteolysis. So here the body protein so will be get degraded and converting into amino acid. That is, for example, for every day 350 to 400 grams of body protein will be degraded and converting into amino acids. Okay, and now we are getting amino acid pool, so which consists of many amino acids. Why? Because all proteins are made up of amino acids. So what is the structural unit of protein? So structural unit of protein is amino acid. Okay, so all amino acids are attached with each other by polypeptide chain and finally forming a protein. Right. So that's why here the amino acid is a basic structure, a unit structure of a protein. So now this protein gets degraded by the process of proteolysis. So how much protein will be degraded every day? So every day 350 to 400 grams of protein will be degraded and converting into amino acid pool. So what is pool here? Here which consists of many different type of amino acids. So naturally, so we are having 20 amino acids. So these are all called naturally occurring amino acids. So 20 different type of amino acids are present in each protein molecule, right? So by this proteolysis process, here the protein will be degraded, it gets breakdown and converting into amino acid pool. So now this is the source. Now this is the amino acid source, so which will be utilized for many different purposes. These amino acids, so will be utilized, will be converting into carbohydrates and fats, and these amino acids will be giving acetyl coenzyme A, and these acetyl coenzyme A, so will be useful for releasing energy. Okay, so that's why here amino acid which are present in the pool, which will be utilized in many purposes. So which will be useful for formation of carbohydrates and fats, and also amino acids will be giving 10 to 15% of energy requirement. It will be fulfilling 10 to 15% of energies for our body. Okay, that means amino acids are converting into energy form. Okay, and also these amino acids will be converting into few important non-protein compounds. Non-protein compounds. Okay, so how much amount of non-protein compounds will be produced per every day? Here 30 grams of non-protein compounds are synthesized from amino acid pool every day. Okay, so how much amount of amino acid pool will be created every day? So 100 grams of amino acid, so which is there in our body, right? So what are the non-protein compounds? Creatinine, porphyrins, phospholipids, purines, and pyrimidines, etc. Yeah, these are all non-protein compounds which doesn't have any amino acids. So these are non-protein compounds, but which are very essential for our body. Okay, and also few other important biological compounds also will be synthesized from this amino acid. Here we cannot see that, but you have to write down. Okay, example melanin. Write down melanin, serotonin, melanin, serotonin, and creatine. Melanin, serotonin, and creatine. So these are all important biological compounds, so which will be synthesized from amino acids. And also a few other neurotransmitters. Few other neurotransmitters also will be synthesized from amino acid. Write down glycine, glycine, aspartate, glycine, aspartate, and glutamate. So these are the three important amino acids, so which are useful for formation of neurotransmitters. Okay, so we have 20 different types of amino acid, but in which three amino acids are responsible for formation of neurotransmitters. What are those neurotransmitters? The first one is glycine, second is aspartate, and the third one is glutamate. Okay, so these amino acids are very much important in our body. It gets metabolized, it gets utilized in different purposes. Okay, but sometimes these amino acids will be excreted in the form of urine and urea. Okay, so not all amino acid pool is completely utilized. So it will be some amount will be excreted, that is around 30 to 50 grams per day. So this amount will be excreted by the form of urine and urea, right? So total that we can get is 100 grams of amino acid pool, but in which 30 to 50 will be excreted and remaining portion will be utilized for different purposes, right? So how can we get this 100 grams of amino acids? So which can be obtained from two different sources. So one different source is a protein breakdown. A protein will be breakdown which is there in our body. The body protein will be breakdown and forming amino acid pool. This is one source. And the second source is dietary proteins. So these dietary proteins, so which will be taken by the diet. Okay, so dietary proteins will be taken by the diet. Okay, so here 40 to 100 grams per day. So we need to provide. So we need to provide 40 to 100 grams per day of these dietary proteins. So which are very essential for formation of amino acid food. Here one interesting point is there that so these dietary proteins so will be obtained from the diet, okay, and which will be entering into the body, but there is no storage facility is there in our body. So that means so no proteins will be stored in our body. Okay, so actually glucose will be stored in the form of glycogen, fatty acid is stored in the form of triacyl glycerols, but here proteins that we are taking from the diet, but it will not be stored in our body. Okay, so this is an interesting point. So what happens? But these dietary proteins, so when we taken, so what happens? So these dietary protein, which consist of protein part, so protein is having a polypeptide chain, so which is coiled. Okay. So when this coiled polypeptide chain, when it is entering into our body, right? So what happens? So these polypeptide chain get denatured. Okay, so that means uncoiling of these polypeptide chain will be happening. So, so when we cook the food, when we cook this proteinous food, so what happens? Denaturation will be taking place. So that means uncoiling of protein chain will be taking place. So after that, see this uncoiled protein chain will be entering into the intestinal area, okay, digestive tract. So where it gets degraded, it gets digested, okay, and converting into amino acids. Okay, so this is the pathway, this is the way, so how these dietary proteins will be converting into, finally converting into amino acid. Okay, but digestion of these protein molecules in the digestive tract, so it is very difficult. Why? Because few important enzymes are required for digestion of proteins, right? So zymogens. So zymogen is an enzyme, the type of enzyme, so which will be very much helpful for digestion of protein molecules. But actually, the digestive tract will be releasing the zymogen, which is inactivated form. Okay, so that means inactivated form of zymogen is present in our body. But when a protein diet will be coming inside the digestive tract, and this inactivated form of zymogen gets converting into activated form. Okay, so now this activated form of zymogen so will be acting on this protein, and these protein chains will be broken, and finally it is converting into amino acids, and it is these amino acids will be reaching to the amino acid pool. Okay, so here these zymogen enzymes are very essential, and these enzymes are two types. Write down two types. So one is endopeptidases, endopeptidases, and second one is exopeptidases, right? So that means endopeptidases and exopeptidases will be used for digesting the dietary proteins in our digestive system, right? So this dietary proteins is the one of the important uh, source for this amino acid pool, right? So this amino acid pool will be created every day. So it is very essential. Okay. And here these dietary proteins will not be stored. It will be just digested. It will not be stored. Right. Okay. So here we can get 20 different type of amino acid. So when this protein molecule gets uh, digested, okay, and these amino acids are called to be naturally occurring amino acids. Naturally occurring amino acid. That means each protein molecule which consists of 20 different types of amino acids. Okay. So in which 10 amino acids out of 20, 10 amino acids are called to be essential amino acids. Essential amino acids. Write down essential amino acids. And these amino acids are coming from the dietary source. Okay, so body cannot produce essential amino acids, but those amino acids are very essential for the metabolic activities, but body cannot create it. So that's why so we are supplying these amino acids from the dietary sources. Okay, so that means essential amino acids can be derived from the dietary proteins. Okay, so remaining 10 amino acids of naturally occurring amino acids. So 10 from essential amino acids and 10 from non-essential amino acids. Here these non-essential amino acids will be synthesized from the amino acid pool. Okay. So which are not there in our body, which gets synthesized. Okay. But body cannot synthesize this essential amino acids. So that's why the body is always uh, asking for the dietary source. That means dietary source only providing the source for the essential amino acids. Okay. So body requires both amino acids, essential amino acids as well as non-essential amino acids. Right. So that means the body will be taking amino acids from two sources. One is protein breakdown, and the second one is dietary source. Okay, and here this amino acid pool, which is also useful for formation of protein molecules again. Okay, so that means protein will be synthesized again from this amino acid pool every day. So how much amount? 300 to 400 grams per day. That means the rate of protein breakdown, which is almost similar to rate of the synthesis of protein. Okay, so how much amount of protein is gets breaking down? So which is almost equal to a protein synthesis, right? So that's why the body is mainly body is not depending upon this protein source. Okay, so why? Because here breakdown the complete protein molecules will be utilized. But even though these dietary proteins are very essential, so why? Because to maintain this balance, so here one important thing is that 30 to 50 grams of the protein molecules get excreted by the form of urine and urea. So how can we get maintain this balance? So it is very difficult to maintain this balance. So if we lost 30 to 50 grams of protein molecule every day, so that's why here the dietary source is very essential. So we are providing 40 to 100 grams of dietary proteins. Okay, so which will be balancing the protein loss from our body. Okay, so that we can maintain this balance protein breakdown, so which is equals to protein synthesis, right? Next coming to overview of amino acid metabolism. Okay, so we have seen that amino acid is prepared. That means a pool of amino acids are created. So 100 grams of amino acids are created every day. So which are obtained from two different sources. So body protein breakdown, and the second one is dietary proteins. These are the two important sources. And here amino acids will be synthesized. Okay, so this is synthesizing of amino acid is called to be anabolic pathway. So by this anabolic pathway, so we can finally synthesize amino acid. Okay, but these amino acids can also be degraded. So it gets degraded, and it is converting into keto acids and urea. Okay, so this is catabolic pathways. So that means amino acid gets synthesized by anabolic pathway, and amino acid can be converting into keto acids and urea by the catabolic pathway. Okay, so that's why we are talking about as amino acid metabolism. So metabolism which includes anabolic pathway as well as catabolic pathway. Okay, so we have already discussed about protein synthesis. Protein is synthesized from the amino acid sources, and also synthesis of nitrogenous compounds also will be synthesized from the amino acids. So now we are going to discuss about three important reactions that we can see in amino acid metabolism. The first one is transamination. Okay. So what is transamination? Here trans means transfer, amination means amine group. Okay, so here amine group gets transferred from the amino acid. Actually, amino acid is a compound which consists of amine group as well as acid function group. But in which amine group get transferred to the another compound, and here amino acid is finally converting into keto acids. Okay, so this entire process will be occurred in cytoplasm. Write down. So transamination will be occurred in cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, and this transamination is occurred in almost all amino acids. That means all amino acids gets converted into keto acids, but there are few exceptions, right? The exceptional amino acids such as lysine. Write down lysine, threonine, threonine, proline, proline, and hydroxyproline, hydroxyproline. Okay, lysine, threonine, proline, and hydroxyproline. So these are the four important amino acids which are not involved in this transamination process, which are not transferring amine group, and they are not converting into keto acids. Okay, so those are exceptional amino acids. Okay, so we are not considering remaining 16 amino acids from amino acid pool, so will be converting into keto acids by the reaction of transamination reaction. Okay, so this transamination reaction is occurred in cytoplasm. Okay, so where this amine group will be transferred? Here amino acids are transferring the amine group to alpha ketoglutarate. Alpha ketoglutarate. So that means alpha ketoglutarate. So which is a keto acid, will be accepting the amine group from the amino acid, and this keto acid get converting into amino acid, that is glutamate. Okay, so keto acid, so which is having a keto group at alpha position, so will be accepting an amine group from the amino acid, and this keto acid gets converted into glutamate, that is an amino acid. Okay, so this is a bidirectional reaction actually. So we can see in the next coming slides. And here amino acid is transferring one amine group to alpha ketoglutarate and converting into keto acids, right? So amino acids are converting into keto acids, and here keto acids are accepting the amine group and converting into amino acids, right? So that's why this is a coupled reaction. So that means a transamination reaction is occurred, and subsequently the deamination reaction will be occurred. Okay. So I will tell about the deamination reaction in the coming slides. All right. So here two reactions will be occurred. Okay. So that's why this is called a coupled reactions. Okay. So what is happening in deamination reaction? Here glutamate, which is an amino acid, will be releasing the amine group. D means removal, amination means amine group, right? So here amine group will be removed from the glutamate, right? Then it is finally converting into urine. Okay, so this amine group will be utilized, will be useful for synthesizing urea. Sorry. Okay, so that means where this amine group will be transferred, amine group will be transferred from the amino acids, from the amino acid pool to glutamate, from glutamate to finally urea, right? Okay, so that means, so in catabolic pathways, amino acid is finally converting into urea by two reactions, that is transamination reaction and deamination reaction. In transamination reaction, here amine group will be transferred. In deamination reaction, amine group will be removed, right? Okay, so in the transamination reaction, so which is occurred in cytoplasm, and here deamination reaction, so which is occurred in mitochondria. Okay, right. So here by this transamination reaction, so finally we can form keto acids. Keto acid which are having keto group, keto functional group, right? And there is a biological significance is there for these keto acids, which are very essential for our body. Why? Because these keto acids will be useful for formation of energy, and these keto acids will be useful for synthesizing glucose molecules and fat. And these keto acids will be useful for formation or the synthesis of non-essential amino acids, right? So that's why here these keto acids are very essential. But how can we form these keto acids? From the amino acids by transamination reaction, so which is occurred in cytosol, and deamination reaction, which is occurred in mitochondria. By this deamination reaction, ammonia will be formed, and this ammonia will be useful, and it is finally converting into urea, and it gets excreted. Right. So we'll see this transamination reaction. So by this example, here amino acid 1, amino acid 1 is converting into keto acid 1. So why? Because here the amino group is present at alpha position, right? This is called alpha position. Why? Because here the functional group is attached, that is carboxylic functional group. So this is the alpha position and this is the beta position. So here at alpha position, so amino group is present. So that's why this is called alpha amino acid. So alpha amino acid, which is transferring the amine group from the alpha position, and it is giving this amine group to the keto acid 2, right? As we have seen here, so amino acid is giving an amine group to alpha ketoglutarate, right? So here amino acid 1, so which is transferring the amine group at alpha position, okay, to keto acid 2. So here the keto acid, so will be accepting the amine group from the amino acid 1, right? And now this amino acid one is removed amine group, so it gets converted into keto acid 1. At the same time, keto acid 2 is accepting the amino group and gets converted into amino acid 2, right? So these two reactions are bidirectional, reversible reactions, okay, and occurred simultaneously. And this reaction is favored in the presence of PLP. Okay, so what is PLP? PLP is pyridoxal phosphate. Write down pyridoxal phosphate, which is a coenzyme and which is derived from vitamin B6. PLP is a coenzyme which is derived from vitamin B6. Okay, so what is the enzyme involved here is, here the enzyme catalyzed enzyme here is transaminase. So why? Because here amine group get transferred here by this enzyme. So that's why this is called transaminase enzyme is involving in this reaction, right? So we can explain this transamination reaction by this example. Here alanine is an alpha amino acid. So here amine group is present at alpha position. So this is a functional group. And this alanine is converting into pyruvate. So pyruvate is a keto acid. So here keto is group which is present at alpha position. So that's why this is called alpha keto acid, right? So what happened here? A pyridoxal phosphate PLP, so which is a coenzyme, so which is derived from vitamin B6, will be helping. So will be what this pyridoxal phosphate will be doing. So here it will be accepting the amine group from the alanine and it is giving it to, okay, alpha keto glutarate, right? Clear? So that's why this PLP is very essential here. So if there is no PLP, if the absence of PLP, so we cannot perform this reaction. Okay, so PLP is a pyridoxal phosphate, which is a coenzyme. Okay, so in the same way, pyruvate so will be accepting amine group and gets converted into alanine. Okay, so this is a reversible reaction. Okay, in the same way here, amine group will be accepted by alpha ketoglutarate and gets converted into glutamate. Okay, in the same way, so glutamate will be releasing amine group, right, and converting into alpha ketoglutarate. Okay, so here amine group will be transferred from one reaction to another reaction. Here the PLP is involved. This is the main important coenzyme which is involved in this transamination reaction, right? So finally, what is happening here? Here, amine group will be transferred from the amino acids to the keto acids, and here, so finally, these keto acids will be useful for many different purposes. So it will be useful for releasing the energy. It will be synthesizing the glucose molecules, fat molecules, and non-essential amino acids. Right. So next one is deamination reaction. The second reaction is called deamination reaction. What is deamination? D means removal, amination means amine group. Here amine group gets removed from this reaction and this removed amine group will be finally uh, excreted by the form of urea. Okay, so this is the example here, the glutamate, so which consists of amine group, okay, at alpha position. This is the alpha carbon. So this amine group gets removed, gets removed, okay, and finally converting into alpha ketoglutarate. Okay, but here for converting into alpha ketoglutarate, there are two steps are involved. In the first step, so this is called oxidation step. So here uh, two hydrogens will be removed from this amine. So amine is consist of three hydrogens, but in which two hydrogens are accepted by NAD, so which is a coenzyme and converting into NADH plus H plus. Okay, here one important point is there that so there are two coenzymes are there, and these two coenzymes are involving this reaction. Okay, so this is a unique property that so NAD will be converting into NADH and H plus. In the same way, if there is NADP plus, then it is converting into NADPH plus H plus. Okay, so we cannot see this type of reaction anywhere. Okay, so here this is a unique reaction where so we can see two coenzymes NAD as well as NADP plus. So we'll be accepting two hydrogens from amine group, right? And now this amine group is converting into imino group. So why it is called to be imino? Imino means so here double bond is there, no? That's why this is called double bond NH is called imino group. It is converting into imino group. This is called alpha iminoglutarate. Okay, so this is an intermediate, so which is formed in this reaction. Okay, in the first reaction, oxidation is taken place. Why? Because here removal of hydrogen is called to be oxidation, or also we can also call it as dehydrogenation. Here hydrogens are removed. This is called dehydrogenation, or we can also call it as oxidation, right? And these removed hydrogens will be accepted by coenzymes, right? And now it is amine group is converting into imino group. So here alpha iminoglutarate is formed, which is an intermediate. Okay. Now this alpha iminoglutarate so we'll be accepting the water. Here water gets accepted. Okay, this is hydroxylation reaction, hydrolysis reaction, right? Here water molecule is added. Now this water molecule is added here. This oxygen will be replacing the NH functional group and forming a keto acid, right? So this NH will be taking two hydrogens and converting into NH3 amine group, right? And here one hydrogen will be removed from this glutarate carboxylic acid functional group. So that's why this is NH4 plus. So NH4 plus is a stable form, right? Okay. So that's why we can see here NH4 plus. So finally, this NH4 plus will be useful for synthesizing urea, right? This whole process is called to be deamination reaction. Okay, so here amine group gets removed from this compound and finally forming alpha keto glutarate. Okay, and in which here L glutamate, so which is also called as collection center for amino acids. Collection center for amino acid. So why? Because so here glutamate will be formed by accepting the amines from the amino acid pool. So we have seen in the previous reaction here, glutamate will be accepting the amine group from the amino acid pool, right? So that's why this glutamate is called to be collection center for amino acid. Collection center for amino acid, right? The whole process will be occurred in liver and kidney in both organs. So we can see this reaction. Okay, and this reaction is catalyzed by a specific enzyme called glutamate dehydrogenase. GDH means glutamate dehydrogenase, so which is an enzyme which catalyzes this deamination reaction. What is this type of deamination? This is called oxidative deamination reaction. Here amine group gets released by the reaction of oxidation. Oxidation is occurred, so that's why this is called oxidative deamination reaction. Okay, so this reaction is catalyzed by GDH, that is glutamate dehydrogenase. And another enzyme is also there which also involved for this oxidative deamination reaction, that is called L amino acid oxidase. L amino acid oxidase. So this enzyme will be useful for converting L amino acid to alpha keto acid. Okay, so L means LIVO form of amino acid, and we have another amino acid that is called D amino acid. Okay, so if you are using D amino acid, then D amino acid oxidase will be useful for converting into alpha keto acids and along with ammonia. Here also ammonia gets released. So that's why this is called deamination reaction. So which is occurred by the process of oxidation. Oxidation means removal of hydrogens, and here the two hydrogens will be removed from the L amino acid and get converted into alpha keto acid. But where are these two hydrogens will be removed? And these two hydrogens will be removed from L amino acid, so will be accepted by a coenzyme called FMN, FMN, right? And this FMN gets converted into FMNH2. Okay, so that means FMN flavomononucleotide will be reduced, will be reduced and converting into FMNH2. But this FMNH2 is highly unstable. It is always trying to get FMN. So that's why it is again releasing two hydrogens along with electrons. And here one molecule of oxygen so will be accepted here. Two molecules of oxygen will be accepted here and finally converting into hydrogen peroxide. But this hydrogen peroxide is very dangerous in our body. It has to be hydrolyzed. Okay, the body so will be hydrolyzing these toxic substances by an enzyme called catalase. So catalase will be hydrolyzing these H2O2. Okay, and then it is again converting back to oxygen molecules, right? So here this is called oxidative deamination. Here oxidation will be occurred as well as deamination also will be present. Okay. So when we take L amino acid, here FMN is used. So FMN is a coenzyme will be accepting two hydrogens from L amino acid. If you take D amino acid, then here FAD will be used. Okay, flavin adenine dinucleotide will be used for taking two hydrogens from D amino acid. So when we use D amino acid, we have to use D amino acid oxidase enzyme, okay, to convert D amino acid to alpha keto acid along with ammonia, right? So this is about oxidative deamination reaction, so which is occurred in mitochondria of liver cells as well as kidney cells. The next one is non-oxidative deamination. Here, oxidation is not occurred, but amine group gets separated from the amino acids. For example, cysteine. So cysteine gets non-oxidatively deaminized and converting into pyruvate. Okay. So here, the cysteine is called to be hydroxy amino acid. Hydroxy amino acid. That means hydroxy amino acids will be getting non-oxidatively deaminized and converting into pyruvate. Right. So here H2 hydrogen sulfide is also formed. Okay. So here hydrogen sulfide will be removed. So that's why here desulfhydrases. Here the enzyme is desulfhydrases. Usually hydratases will be used for removing of amine group from the hydroxy amino acids. So here 16 is hydroxy amino acid. And there are two other amino acids also present. Write down threonine, threonine, and homoserine. Homoserine. Threonine and homoserine. Right? So these amino acids are also called to be hydroxy amino acids, which gets hydratase in the presence of enzyme and converting into respective keto acids. Okay, but here there is no involvement of any coenzymes, there is no removal of any hydrogens, and there is no acceptance of any hydrogens by the coenzymes. So that's why this is called non-oxidative phase. Okay, here this is non-oxidative deamination reaction. There is no involvement of any coenzymes. Okay, and one more example is there that histidine gets converted into urocanate by releasing of ammonia group. Okay, so here enzyme is histidase. Histidase is the enzyme, so which catalyzes this reaction, right? So this is about non-oxidative deamination reaction. We have two deamination reactions. First one is oxidative deamination reaction, and second one is non-oxidative deamination reaction. And the third reaction is called to be decarboxylation. So we have learned about transamination reaction. That is the first general reaction. Second one is deamination reaction, and the third one is decarboxylation reaction. Okay. Here, amino acids also will be decarboxylized. So that means carbon dioxide will be released from the amino acids and converting into a respective amines. Okay. Here, a serine is the example, so which will be releasing carbon dioxide and gets converted into ethanol amine. Okay, so this reaction is catalyzed by serine decarboxylase. So here also a PLP, that is phospho pyridoxal phosphate will be utilized. Okay, so which will be derived from the vitamin B6. Okay, so PLP is a coenzyme. So in the presence of PLP, so here carbon dioxide will be removed from the amino acid and converting into amine groups. Okay, right. So there are other examples that histidine is also get involved in this decarboxylation reaction and converting into histamine, and tyrosine is converting into tyramine, tryptophan converting into tryptamine, lysine is converting into cadaverine, and glutamic acid is converting into gamma aminobutyric acid, that is called GABA. Right? In all this reaction, carbon dioxide will be removed, so that's why this is called decarboxylation reaction. Right? So these are the general reactions of amino acid metabolism. Three general reactions are there. So first one is transamination reaction, and second one is deamination reaction, and third one is decarboxylation reaction. And these reactions that we can see in many pathways, in the coming pathways we can see these common general reactions in many other metabolic acid amino acid pathways, right? So this is about general reactions of amino acid metabolism. Any doubts?
So once you say transamination.
Right. Here, this is the transamination reaction. Here, if you see this term transamination, that means here amine group gets transferred from one amino acid. Why? Because here amino acid which consists of two functional group. One is amine functional group and the second one is keto functional group. Right? So here amine functional group will be removed, will be transferred to a keto acid. So why? Because keto acid doesn't have any amine group. So that's why keto acid will be accepting one amine group from amino acids, right? So what is happening here? Here amine group gets transferred from one compound to another compound. So here amine group will be transferred from amino acid to alpha ketoglutarate. Okay. So now this alpha ketoglutarate gets accepting this amine group and it is converting into glutamate. Now this glutamate, which consists of keto functional group, that is carboxyl functional group, as well as amine functional group. This is an amino acid, right? So that means keto acid is converting into amino acid by accepting the amine group. In the same way, so amino acid is releasing or transferring the amine, and this amino acid gets converting into keto acid. Keto acid consists of only acid functional group. It doesn't have amine group. Why? Because amine group is transferred. So where it is transferred? It is transferred to alpha ketoglutarate. So what is happening here? So alpha ketoglutarate will be accepting the amine group and converting into glutamate, right? So here we can see clearly, here amino acid 1 is transferring amine group to keto acid 2, right? So what is happening here? So here keto acid is accepting the amine group and converting into amino acid 2. In the same way, amino acid 1 is releasing amine group and converting into keto acid. So this reaction will be favored by a transamination enzyme. Okay. So this will be activated in the presence of PLP, that is pyridoxal phosphate. So which is a coenzyme. What is the coenzyme used? So here the coenzyme will be temporarily accepting the amine group and it is giving to the keto acid. That means it is acting like a carrier. See here we can see this carrier. So pyridoxal phosphate. So this is PLP, right? So which will be accepting the amine group from this alanine, right? And it is transferring to alpha ketoglutarate, and now this alpha ketoglutarate is converting into glutamate, right? This is a little confusing, but don't confuse Amma. Here amino group, amino acid is releasing amine group, and that amine group will be accepted by PLP, and it is amino acid is converting into keto acid. Okay, and this amino group is present now at with PLP, and this PLP is giving this amine group to the keto acid 2, and now this keto acid 2 is converting into amino acid 2, right? So we have to explain this transamination reaction with the examples. So alanine is the example. Alanine is an amino acid which consists of uh, carboxylic function group as well as amine function group. Now this amine functional group gets released, and now the PLP will be accepting that amine group temporarily, and now this alanine group is amino acid is converting into pyruvate. So here amine group is removed, and which is replaced by a keto function group, that is why this is called keto acid. So now what happens? So this temporarily accepted PLP, temporarily accepted amine group by PLP is giving to the alpha ketoglutarate. Now this alpha ketoglutarate, so which is converting into glutamate. So glutamate is an amino acid. So alanine is amino acid which consists of both amine group and carboxylic group. In the same way, glutamate is also amino acid which consists of amine group as well as carboxylic functional group. Right? So what is happening finally here? Amine group will be transferred from one compound to another compound. Okay. So here a PLP is very much essential, which is a coenzyme, which is derived from vitamin B6. So if PLP is not there, so here amine group cannot be transferred from the one compound to another compound.